Hello world, welcome to my channel, Proteus Augustus. I'm an artist, scientist, and American Constitutionist. Today is July 27th, 2019. In my last video, titled Cult of Personality, I started a chain of logic with respect to personality traits, how I believe they are inherent, and how they insert themselves into our society for better or worse. Recently, a couple of incidences occurred that most of you should be aware of. I'm going to use to give examples to these personality traits and how they are affecting us. Before I do so, I'd like to say I am not an anarchist. I understand full well that societies need structure in order for men to resolve their differences civilly in venue, be heard on topics, and bring criminals, real criminals, to justice to defend the public good. However, there are limitations on that power. And as I've said in earlier videos, our framers knew that. The problem today is that those personalities have become so powerful in our society and have inculcated the citizenry over the last 100 years or so to the point where the average citizen doesn't really understand what they're in for if these personalities are allowed to continue. Now, this happens on the Democratic side, the Republican side, left, right, however you draw your distinction. There is no group, no subgroup in society that is immune from these personality traits. What they do is they use their personality traits to gain power, to establish themselves and their point of view on the rest of the public. Recently, some New York police officers had water thrown on them. That's an assault, depends on the jurisdiction. It can be considered a battery. An assault doesn't require a touching. It was also interfering with the police officer's duty. The question is that as egregious of a crime as the political masses and law enforcement make it out to be? First, let me say that every time an incident like this happens, the political masses and the law enforcement come out and tell us how great they are, how great their organization is, that they have a history and they have rules, and why we should respect them. That is an exercise of their personality trait, people. They require our respect. They don't believe they have to earn it. They require it. No. What you do is you take these people, you arrest them for the crimes that they committed. You don't turn this into some sideshow to elevate your status and your profession. Let me give you an example. The American constitutionalism is a leash, a short leash, on law enforcement and the political structure. It's as simple as that. Over the years, that leash has become loose, and it needs to be tightened. Also, the communists creep into law enforcement and our political systems, overstep their bounds. They write traffic laws, property laws, you name it, in order to put their hands in our pockets every day. Reason being, like I said before, especially up in Boston, I'm sure New York is no different. Like I said, you got a lineage of 3 different generations of people who have been living off of the blood and sweat of the citizenry. That's how they get paid. So if they can find a way to take more money from us, they're going to do it. And it's up to us to stop them in some way or fashion. The other thing is while they require our respect, they put out their motto, we're here to protect and serve. No. If if a citizen wants to become a law enforcement officer because he believes his job is to protect the public, he shouldn't be a police officer because it's impossible. No. It's law enforcement's duty to investigate crimes and bring people to justice. It isn't to vet citizens, okay, to find out what they're doing and what kind of person they are in order to somehow protect themselves or someone else. That's ludicrous. That's communist creep. They use that motto so that they can come into your communities and inquire as to who you are, what you're doing, how you interact with other people, so on and so forth, and then they treat you accordingly. And the bullies within that structure, that law enforcement group, facilitate their aggression by picking on those that other people don't like or are political enemies of their masters. It's just as simple as that. Case in point, Andy No. I saw the video where a law enforcement officer was sitting on his motorcycle watching this guy get pummeled almost into stupidity. There's no telling what kind of brain damage this guy got. I mean, he don't even know how to defend himself. The guy, he could have been killed. And that law enforcement officer was standing there the whole time, or I should say sitting on his motorcycle the whole time, and he couches his behavior on the fact that his political masters told him not to act. Well, how is that protecting the public? It's not. It isn't. He does what he is told. It's his job to put us under the thumb of his political masters. He will do what he is told for a paycheck, like I said in my earlier video. So, that police officer would have been well within his rights and his privileges given to him by the people to stop that. On the rare occasions when law enforcement is there and they see these crimes and they don't do anything, that should tell you something, people, about their personality traits and why they have the job. Same goes for highway robbery, civil forfeiture. I mean, they made cash illegal in the 70s to stop big drug dealers from buying caddies and whatnot. And then somehow that turns into, if you happen to have cash on you, they can take it. How did that happen? Oh, I smell some weed. Oh, what do you got? You got a couple of $1,000 on you? Well, I'm going to take that because I think it's drug money. Not because of any investigation or any crime that, shows that this was ill-gotten gain. No, they're robbing people on the highways. Not to mention the fact if some kid's got a couple of bones in his car or a little bit of weed, how does that pay for a $35,000 car? It doesn't. It's theft. It's legalized theft. And the personality traits of these all law enforcement officers allow it to continue. Same thing with putting people in jail because they can't pay a traffic ticket. Now listen, I've gotten traffic tickets before, all right? I even made it a point to go to the court over here to make a point with them with respect to what's happening on this highway next to me. For those of you that aren't familiar, 81 is an interstate, and it's only 2 lanes going by my neighborhood. But there are so many tractor trailers, they might just hitch them all together like a train. These tractor trailers are going down the highway 80 miles an hour, killing people with tons of weight behind them, but yet they're going to tell me I'm an unsafe driver when I'm driving a sports car that's designed to hug the road at 130 miles an hour. Safely. Okay? It's a joke. But they won't pull over these tractor trailers because the trucking industry, trade organizations, are giving money to the law enforcement organizations. This is how far things have got. This is how bad things are. Face the facts, people. There's not really as much crime as people think there is. I mean, if they focus their time on investigating real crimes, then a lot of criminals will be brought to justice rather than being a pocketbook chaser on the highway and a highway robber, okay, and exercising indifference to crimes that they see. Okay, so when these guys get up there and they demand my respect, when anyone demands my respect, that's when they don't get it. Respect is earned, and there is no subgroup in our society that does not have these personalities in it, okay, that will bully you and take advantage of you. It's as simple as that. Now, the other example is Mueller. Boy, I was really set back on this farce that he put on. Okay, one thing I learned about some of these leftist Democrats is when they get in a jam, they don't admit to it. They they look for sympathy. Like, I got an injury. Listen, I'm a disabled veteran. I try to hide it. I don't use it as try to get sympathy from anybody. If anything, it makes me more of a target, okay, to people who want to harm me. But, these politicians, listen, he's an old man, he's 74. Listen, he's a half-wit from the get-go. That's how we got to where we are today, people. This takes years and years of training these people by their political masses. Listen, Stalin, Mao, you name it, Hitler. These people weren't stupid. They know how to manipulate the minds of weaker men. They'll put a half-wit in power, and they will tell them what to do, and that person will do it. There is no telling. Listen, they want to talk about how he was a war veteran, and listen, it is scary that this guy was the FBI director. There's no telling the malfeasance that this man did. Okay, there isn't any. And the people that know what the malfeasance are try to protect their profession, you know, to our detriment by trying to continue to prop this man up. No. Okay? He knew what he was doing. He's not the victim here. It's waste, fraud, and abuse. He should have to pay every dollar back. And if he was that senile, then the person who hired him should be fired. And he's gone now anyway. But the whole point is, these people get in these high positions because they're manipulable by the political masters. That's how you get Strzok. That's how you get all of these other FBI agents. Because those people are amoral. They have no professional code. Their only code is, what can I get? And it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'll build on that later. That's one of my tenets of communist creep, is that philosophy. Okay? You put intellect aside, and you get a half-wit to prosecute your own designs on society. That's how Mueller got there, okay? And if he didn't do this or do anything, then he should have to pay back all his money, and he should be prosecuted for waste, fraud, and abuse. The law is on the books, okay? The other thing is, earlier today, I watched a little clip on that Kambudo had, and he had this ex-Star lawyer on. Now, I don't care if he was on the Star panel, or I don't care who he is. The bottom line is he's putting forth the argument that we can't prosecute Hillary Clinton because then we'll look like we're going after our political enemies. No, that's just cover. Because they do the same thing. Listen, Republicans are no different. Okay? These personalities do the same thing, but they just promote a different cultural philosophy. They will use the mechanisms of government to get what they want. They're just not as aggressive as these leftists have become. No, that's why we have a grand jury. Okay? Is so that Hillary Clinton can be put in front of the citizenry, represented in a grand jury, and then if indicted, put in front of a jury of her peers to decide her guilt or innocence. That is not political. That's our structure. She's not being, this isn't communist China yet. She isn't being brought up in front of a kangaroo court of politicians just to kill her. No. So that argument don't wash. It's a ridiculous argument, and I'm tired of hearing it. Attorney General Barr needs to take the evidence that we all know exists and put it to a grand jury and let the people decide and explain to the public what a grand jury is and that they represent us. Not Trump, not the Republicans, not the Democrats. That's our system. Plain and simple. And if they let Hillary Clinton walk and the rest of them, eventually a hot war will ensue. It's as simple as that, people. Don't kid yourself. Free men will fight. Whether it's 3% or 10%, whatever that percentage is, free men will fight. Now, this has gone on long enough. Again, I'll take the opportunity to build on this line. Right now, I'm working into my theme called Provocative Gesture. So, it's important to watch my videos chronologically, because then you can see how I keep building up on my logic to make my point and introduce my artwork and my themes into it. Okay? All right, well, that's enough for now. Until next time, think free and be free.